Hello, listeners, and welcome back to the Community Exchange podcast, where we talk to friends old and new about their careers and the future of the media industry. I'm Matthew Scott Goldstein, better known as
MSG.
Thank you, Jim. As always, the Community Exchange podcast is brought to you by OpenWeb, the company building a safer, fairer, and more trustworthy internet. Now we have a great conversation for you with Jim Daly, CEO of OpenWeb. Jim is a seasoned media and tech leader who scales high-impact teams, builds revenue-driven platforms, and drives innovation across publishing, advertising, community, and loves
Golf.
Okay, let's start, Jim. Because when I went through your profile and did all your background, the first thing I saw at the bottom of LinkedIn was golfer, like your first job.
Yeah.
So you have to explain that and what that means and how your career took off from there.
Oh, interesting. So I went to school for hospitality administration at BU. And when I was coming out of college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do because I realized, I was going to open up restaurants and do all these great things. And I realized that's kind of not what I wanted to do when I was in it. And so I moved to New York City. I figured I'd probably try to go into finance.
Like everyone else.
MSG, then I took a bunch of interviews, got a couple job offers, and again, realized that finance was not something I was very interested in. So I said, all right, well, what do I love? And I said, well, I love playing golf. So here's...
Were you like a scratch golfer?
Not even. I wasn't that great.
But you just loved doing it.
I wasn't very good at it. I really loved doing it. I was okay, but I had this misplaced sense of confidence in my ability to become better.
That's healthy.
So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a job at a golf course as like an assistant golf pro, make like $9 or $10 an hour. I'm going to practice every day, and within a year, I'm going to be good enough to join the PGA Tour and become a professional golfer.
Oh my God, that's the funniest thing.
That was my plan.
But you said you weren't that good. You thought you were going to get that much better.
Again, a misplaced sense of confidence at that age, right? I was 21, 22 years old.
Producer Andrew, there's the title for the podcast, Misplaced sense of confidence.
Yeah, I mean, like, totally, right? Absolutely. It's been a through line in a few different decisions in my career, some good or some bad. But anyway, so the first day I went to the golf course, I played golf with a guy named Greg Biscotti, and he's like one of the best amateur golfers.
Name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's played in the PGA Championship a few times. Anyway, so Greg was the first assistant pro at this place that I worked. It's called St. Andrew's Golf Club. And we went out. He said, let's go play some golf. We teed off on the first hole. He blasted one down the middle. I flare one out to the right. He puts one right next to the pin, puts in for birdie. I scramble for a bogey. And I said to him, Greg, have you ever tried to make a run at the PGA Tour? Clearly, this guy's exceptionally good. And he looked at me and he laughed and he said, Jim, I'm not even close to good enough. And I realized within 8 minutes of my first day that it was not going to happen for me. And so then...
This is the best opening story we've had in any season, any episode so far.
Yeah. My entire dream of being a professional golfer was destroyed within 8 minutes of my first day. But then I pivoted and got into advertising and media, so on and so forth, and kind of that's the career
okay.
path
So then you advertising, media,
Yeah.
was it sales? Because you have that personality.
Started in sales.
I'm saying that in a good way.
Thank you. Yeah, started in sales in a very an early stage startup, and it just closed their seed round of funding in online audio.
And are you in New York now, or
I'm in New York.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in New York. And so I started there. And then from there, moved to, I'd say more ad network 1.0, right?
Okay.
So Undertone back in the day.
I remember Undertone.
Right?
I remember people there every time. Okay, go ahead.
It was a really remarkable organization. A lot of very talented people I worked with
I remember their office on 38th Street and Park Avenue.
Yeah, and a bunch of folks I worked with now are just executives in various places. I mean, it was really a great training ground for business and media and ad tech. And then went to a company called Break Media, which ended up becoming Defy Media. So it was owned and operated more like millennial male based comedy publishers, also a large ad network, a lot of branded entertainment production as well. So kind of cut my teeth there.
It must have been good though, right?
Good. Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it. Right. I really enjoyed it.
But you must have been good at the job.
I think that if you have a good product and if you really believe in the product and you have a good work ethic, then you can be good at any job. Okay. And so anyway, and then from there I built a big team and then took a big leap to go to this tiny little European ad tech company that had really big aspirations.
This is Teads now, right?
Well, actually, yes, this is Teads, but this was it wasn't called Teads at the time. It was called e-buzzing.
That's one of the worst names I've ever heard.
That's awful. I mean, the French, or many of my dearest friends through business and business partners through the years are French because of this experience. But man, they really suck at naming.
And what year is this that you went to Teads?
So, oh God, I don't know.
Ballpark.
So if it's 2025 now, this is 2013.
Okay.
End of 2012, 2013, in that period of time. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, it was doing less than $10 million in revenue a year, and most of it was out of France. And then, launched the North American operations, grew that business over 10 years to over 300 million in revenue a year.
That's just take a step back. That's crazy.
It was a cool experience.
Not too many people
have
that experience of lightning in a bottle and growing a business like that to such stellar revenue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the original product that we had at eBuzzing was good. It wasn't great, and we knew we needed to kind of improve and focus on something that was more scalable and a little bit more disruptive in the industry. And then there was this tiny little ad tech company called Teads that was in the south of France, and they had like 12 employees. And so I think at the point where the eBuzzing business was probably about 125 to 150 million in global revenue, we zeroed in, we bought that business, this tiny little business. We rebranded the entire company Teads, and that was the game changer. And then so, the U.S. business that I ran, or North American business rather, that I ran was about 300 million. I was also global president of that business, expanded all over the world. I think it was 28 countries.
Were you traveling
I was traveling
then?
quite a lot. Yeah. And that business, we ended up getting it to north of 700 million, sold the business. And it was a great experience.
And you sold it to?
Altice.
Okay.
So Patrick Drahi and Altice. Yeah.
Okay. Because I was at Dakota in 2006.
Sure, yeah, of course.
And 2007, and I grew the business from $1 million a month in revenue to $10 million a month in revenue. And that was like lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
Doing that in an 18-month span. And when I heard your story, I'm like, I was part of that, and it is magical.
Yeah.
And it is the hardest thing in the world to grow it.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating to hear you do sort of the same experience.
Yeah, I mean, it is a great experience. I think anybody that is part of that type of experience, a certain amount is based on them and their decisions and what they did, but I'd say a lot of it is based on the people, right? Like really getting sensational people.
Magical team.
Around. It has to be a magical team. I got this great piece of advice, like really early in my career, that was just like, when your hiring philosophy should be just to hire people that are better and smarter than you.
My goal in life is to be around people.
Me too.
It's very smart than me.
Very
That's why I don't know how this is going to work out.
Goal, right? So it's like, I think that when people are younger in their career, they're threatened by that concept. But I embraced it early on, and man, it is like, that has been really formative. And then, hire people that are smarter than you and better at the job than you, and then just empower them to do great, and that's been a through line. We also need a disruptive product, right? Like you can have a great philosophy, you can have great people, but if your product is ubiquitous, like you're gonna have a ceiling. Like there's no question you're gonna have a ceiling.
Were you driving a lot of product decisions back then? Were you part of the product team?
Yeah, I was part of the product decisions. Yeah.
That's the hardest job. That's the hardest job ever.
Well, but so we had a good tech team and we also had a good product team, right? So it's like, was I every single day in the nitty gritty of the product? No, absolutely not. Was I very involved in the product in terms of like where we needed to build a product, where we needed to go on the publisher side, and then on the advertiser and agency side? Absolutely, yeah.
So when I was at Dakota and lightning in a bottle, crazy successful, sold to AOL, my next job, I'm like, oh, this will be easy.
Right.
And guess what? No.
And
then you realize it was not you. It's where you were, great people, great product. You jump somewhere else. It is really hard to replicate that.
It's different. Yeah, it's totally different. But my question for you is, at that stage, do you feel like you had a good sense for where the company needed to go or the products they needed to build?
The second company?
Meaning like to become that disruptor, to have that type of differentiation and that type of growth, right? As opposed to just kind of doing tweaks on the same thing.
I was so naive then. I did not understand the business, the ecosystem. I was clueless back then compared to what I know now. If I did that today, I could probably figure it out better than I could back then.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I didn't realize back then that I thought I knew everything because I was part of lightning in a bottle.
Yeah. I've had this conversation with folks that have been involved in situations where it was kind of like a lightning in a bottle situation. And the one thing that they consistently across the board, because everybody has different experiences and the different roles that they take next and the different companies they go to, but a through line of folks that have done it a couple times is that that original experience helped them to say, okay, at this new company, I know that we're focused here, but if we want to experience that type of disruptive hypergrowth, this is where we actually need to be taking our product and our strategy.
So what happened in my company, I was the operational person, not the strategic product person. So I was really good at taking the $1 million in ops, getting it to 10 million.
Understood.
I did not understand the product and the strategy. The new company I went to, I didn't understand that piece of it, so I didn't have that knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting what you say too, where let me ask you this too, and I know that I'm not supposed to be interviewing you, but
this is great.
This is a really interesting conversation. So when you were out of that second experience,
Yep.
how did you view, the hypergrowth, and then when it didn't quite go the way that you wanted, how did you, what was the juxtaposition in terms of what actually happened at those
So
places?
it was Dakota to Pier 39.
Yeah.
Pier 39, I couldn't make it work. I didn't know what was going on, couldn't figure it out. And then what happened after I left Pier 39, 5 people from Dakota who left Dakota wanted to bring me on as a consultant to help them do what I did at Dakota. So they wanted me to just sort of redo the lightning in a bottle experience that we did, and that's how I sort of started my whole career in consulting.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so that was the launching pad for consulting.
Yes. And I said this before, at Pier 39, I was actually fired. Like, Amiyad fired me. And back then, I would not tell anyone. I would make up stories, but now I'm okay to say it. But it was hard to be fired, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me in my career.
Huh. Yeah, it's interesting the way that kind of life takes these turns that you don't necessarily want or ask for. Yeah. It seemed like they'd be calamitous at one stage, but then it ends up turning into something that is meaningful and positive.
Okay, now let's go. Okay, so Teads, $300 million. Then what happened?
Well, so Teads was 300 million in North America, 700 million globally. We sold the business
to
Altice, stayed for years.
Did they buy Cheddar also at the same time, or was that afterwards?
They bought Cheddar around the same time.
Okay.
Yep. Very different strategies.
Yes.
Obviously. So stayed for a number of years. And then, just the way things were structured, kind of had a choice to stick around for kind of the next stage of the business, or go try something else. So I decided to go try something else.
And what's this thing you tried?
And I tried to get back into golf again. I've always tried to figure out how to.
So let me just pause right there.
Yeah.
Producer Andrew, this is fascinating.
Yep.
This is our 6th podcast so far this season. I think 3 people have done the same thing. They sort of started in media, left, and then ended up coming back. And it's amazing how there's this pattern emerging. So tell us about.
Yeah, well, maybe it's something on that in terms of my view on it. I think that COVID really kind of drove some changes in people's decision making. Like, I don't think you can, the fact that the whole entire world changed.
Good point.
For a pretty extended period of time, and then everybody kind of looked at their trajectory. Life is short. Should I be trying something else? Also, the remote aspect of work. Right. And so
COVID facilitated the ability for people to then.
Well, I think it made people think look inward quite a lot. And then also, pragmatic, logistically, people were able to say, all right, well, I'm going to try to make, at least do something else for a little while. Have a different experience in life than the same thing I've been doing for the last 20 plus years. Right. So I started this golf project, which was really the whole plan was to
play golf all the time and get
just spend a ton of time with my kids and my family.
How old are your kids, can I ask now?
So now 11, 9, and 4.
Okay. It's a lot going on, 11, 9, and 4.
Yeah, but they're amazing ages. They're and they're such great kids. I love them to death. But say all right, spend some time with the family, do this kind of this side hobby thing within golf, which will be really fun. and then kind of figure things out. Have basically no plan other than that.
Okay.
That was the plan.
And what was the golf idea?
The golf idea was me and a good friend of mine who's a venture capitalist. We said, all right, well, golf is super exclusive. It's really expensive. It's in the United States to play good golf courses and kind of be part of a club just costs an enormous amount of money. And and we said, all right, well, what if we can kind of make it more egalitarian and democratize it? That was the whole idea. And make membership permissionless, right? So it's not about who you know. It's about, do you want to just be part of this thing, part of this movement, part of this.
It's part of
club
a
that we're building?
community.
It's part of the community.
Yeah.
It's a huge community aspect.
Well, we're gonna get that.
Yeah. So we said, all right, we're gonna start this golf club called Linkst. We'll sell memberships. Anybody can join, and everybody that does join gets to vote on all of the big things that the golf
I love
club's
that.
doing, right? So it's like, we're going to go out, we're going to buy golf courses. So everybody votes on the golf courses we're looking at. Everybody votes on, what are the rules of these golf clubs? What are the logos of these golf clubs? Like all these different things.
I see some
right?
chaos coming, but go ahead.
It's interesting. So, but that was the idea. And then also, you can buy into the membership or you can sell your membership, right? It's your membership. Like
Okay.
you can choose what you want to do with it. And so then we sold out all the memberships, over 7,000 memberships in 48 hours, and generated $12 million in membership sales. So it was like, all right, well, this thing
That's
is supposed
impressive.
to be a fun hobby, but wow, there's something here,
Right.
That we want to focus on, and we want to grow, we want to foster. So then I started focusing on that quite a lot. We raised capital equity, or I should say Callaway came on as an equity investor, which is the largest golf company in the world. We got involved with conversations with the PGA, with the RNA, with all these different organizations.
It's a full-time job. It's a full-time job now.
PGA Tour players,
Yeah.
and it was just really, so it kind of became a full-time job. Was never really the full intention, but that's what ended up happening. And that still exists, and it's still doing great. We own a golf course in Scotland. We're doing another project in Kansas City right now, another course in Kansas City. How
many members now?
So it's the same number of members,
7,000.
really. 7,000,
Okay.
yeah, because that's kind of where we maxed out in terms of overall members. So people have come in and out of the membership, but the membership numbers have stayed roughly the same. And so that continues to do great, and I'm still very involved in that. But then I got an opportunity to come join OpenWeb and kind of help for the next phase of growth of that business, which
Tim reached out to you. Was that what it was? Tim Harvey?
Basically, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I got
love
connected
Tim.
with
Tim's
Tim
great.
and then with some of the investors.
Okay.
And started talking about it. And I'd had opportunities to look at a bunch of different companies over the last handful of years. And I said, I'm interested in kind of, this is oversimplification, MSG, but basically it's like, all right, well, does the company have like a true point of differentiation and ability to succeed and scale in the future? And kind of, everybody has a mission, but do they have a real chance in the current very disruptive world to achieve that vision? That's one. And then two, can I help? Right? Like there are some
From sitting here, I know you can help.
Well, but there's some organizations that reached out and they're like, listen, this is what we're doing. And I'm like, that's really cool. But like, it seems like you're in a good spot and the folks that you have on board are like the right people to do it. So like, I don't know how I can be that additive and helpful, because I really want to be somebody that can add a lot to the business too, right? And help it to get to where it needs to go. And, OpenWeb kind of fit at least those two kind of initial criteria. So yeah. So then I said, I'll join that, and then I'll kind of stay involved in the golf project on the side.
And in our conversation, you talked about the decentralized community. What were the exact term you used?
Oh, decentralized social platform?
Yes. Can you explain what that means to you? And let's riff on that.
Oh, that's interesting. So,
because I'm fascinated by this as well. And this has come up a couple times.
Yeah. So, to this point, there's kind of an enormous amount of power and influence in all of these centralized walled garden platforms. So, that could be a Meta, that could be a TikTok, that could be to some extent an X, that could be a Reddit. These platforms have an enormous amount even like if we put the consumer aside, right? Because I mean, these are driving a lot of the ways that we live our lives on a day-to-day basis, if it's up to us or not, right? It's like these companies have like a lot of a lot of power and a lot of influence, and they have algorithms that are trying to grab our attention every single day, more and more and more. But if you take a look at like the overall like media ecosystem, they take a lot of the great content that's developed that they didn't pay to develop, and then they utilize it for their own monetization purposes and engagement purposes. And so I think there's just been,
and that's a theme that's great. Yes,
but that's been true for a really long time, right?
Right, but the models before they would send you traffic. Now they're not sending you traffic anymore. So
exactly.
Now it's stealing is the term I use.
Right
or wrong.
Yeah. I mean, it's like if you take a look at some of the social platforms out there years ago, they'd say publisher just like develop a lot of video, send a lot of content our way, and everything's gonna. And the monetization will work out and everything. And then they basically stop sending traffic and they just kind of monetize it themselves. So, so I'm really interested in the concept of not a centralized social platform, so not a consumer-facing place where people go and log in and interact in one single place. I'm interested in creating a decentralized social platform that lives at the publisher or site levels, right? So, and allows the publisher itself or the media company, or it could be really anybody. It could be the NBA, it could be the different NBA sites. It could be literally if you have your own blogging platform and you have a bunch of people that are going to your site and reading your blog, it could be powering on there. It could be anywhere. So allowing the creator of the content to own their own audience, to own their own socials, and to empower them to, I'd say, be the full brand that they can be for the consumer. That I find really, really interesting.
The other thing I think Jess Giles brought up was if I'm on the Wall Street Journal and I'm commenting, do I also get to see all the other people who commented and then other sites they went to and sort of understand where their community is?
You could for sure.
Like connecting more of...
Yeah, no, I think you could be connecting people. I think what's a really important element of this, though, is the point of this type of development is not to say, all right, well, we're going to start and have, again, I'm just both sides of the aisle. I'm just basically contextualizing this. We're not working on this with these two companies necessarily, but you have a community that lives on CNN.com. You have a community that lives on Fox.com, right? And the point is to allow Fox and CNN to kind of have a much better engagement with their consumers and allow their consumers to engage in a more meaningful way with them, right? It's like their personalities, their journalists on this platform every single day.
And these are logged in real human users.
These are logged in real human users.
As opposed to the other centralized ones might be not necessarily.
It could be a little bit, exactly. So the personalities on CNN and Fox are on their platform every day, right? Engaging with their users. There's exclusive content that CNN and Fox are giving to their users on their platforms. These publishers can take advantage of the IP that they have to drive engagement and incredible and delightful experiences for their user base to drive conversations on their platform as opposed to seeding all those conversations engagement to it.
Because the publishers have the best IP in the world in the United States.
It's fantastic.
And that's why every single AI agent wants to steal it from them to actually figure out how to build their model better.
So yeah, I don't know that from a social engagement and community perspective, there's been any platform developed beyond what we're doing to allow them to take advantage of that type of content and IP. So that's a big part of it. So I guess my point is this. You were asking about, can users go, interact with each other across these publishers and everything. Maybe at a future iteration of this product, but at the heart of it, why we're doing this is not to create a centralized platform.
Right.
It is to allow the publishers to take advantage.
I think my question was more if I'm on the Wall Street Journal and I'm commenting on an article.
Yeah.
And I see these other 1,000 people commented it, and then they also went to these other articles. Can I sort of tie that all together and get a stream of consciousness about these other people who commented are going as well?
Yeah, you could, right? Theoretically, you could. We're not building that right now into the current iteration of the product, which is releasing later this year. But yes, in the future, that's possible.
Okay. Different topic. Google Zero. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's like, I think there's two sides to the coin, right? I think from everything that's happening in AI right now related to chatbots and how it's impacting the publisher communities, it's on one side, it's because the user likes the experience, right? I think that's one thing.
The answer agent user experience is phenomenal.
It's good. It's easy. It saves you time and effort,
Yeah.
right? And so I think we need to shift the way that we're thinking about, how we run our businesses online as a result, right? From a publisher standpoint, it's tough. It's like really tough because the traffic is,
Decreasing.
decreasing, and I think decreasing faster than anticipated. And the anticipation was already a pretty rapid decrease, right? So I think that, from a site traffic perspective, it's having a major impact, and will continue to. I think from Google's perspective, it's hurting their ability to monetize. Right?
Well, they just had today is July 24th. They just had their earnings come out, and they were pretty good.
Yeah, they are good,
which
right?
is remarkable.
Well, I mean, Google.
And my takeaway was that the CPMs are going up significantly on the blue links, and that's how they're making the money.
They are. I mean, YouTube's still pretty good,
And the cloud did well too.
The cloud is killing it, right?
And they're going from 75 billion in CapEx to 85 billion, mostly for the cloud.
Absolutely. And I mean, the thing is, Google's business is vast, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just monetizing clicks, right? I mean, it's like, and so obviously search has been a seismic part of their business historically and still is, but I mean, they have a lot of different business lines, and that where they're making a lot of money and they're showing a lot of growth beyond just kind of the ads ecosystem. But anyway, kind of back to your original question, I think that this is a huge inflection point for the internet, right? For media publishers, yes, but just also for the internet in general. If you're trying to monetize it or not, I mean, it's shifting and it's changing. And I think we were obsessed as an industry, right? Kind of back to ad tech, with cookie versus cookieless.
Yep. No one talks about that anymore.
Nobody talks about that anymore. But I think that
I saw someone from Privacy Sandbox yesterday like, "Oh, you don't talk to me anymore because it doesn't." I'm like, "Okay," we just moved on.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, it's like I think we were missing the plot a little bit, right? We were just thinking about how we target users. Doesn't really matter anymore. Now it's about how do you, right? Because the thing is, the internet is still vast and the users are still out there and they're consuming content and they're engaged. I think it's about how do you engage the user and create a space where they're having a great experience and they're getting something that they need in their day-to-day basis, right? It's about bringing value to the user in a really meaningful way. And if you do that and you're one of these publishers that's having an impact from, I'd say, the change in search habits, then you're going to build a big brand around that. And then you can really have the ability to thrive in I'd say this next iteration of the internet, and really build communities around your brand. If you are going to continue to chase the referral search traffic, it's going to be a painful next 18 months, I'd say.
Are the comments must be extremely valuable to the LLMs, right? Right, they must be scraping them and looking at them like just like Reddit. Reddit's one of the most valuable properties out there to LLMs, and I think it's for two reasons. I think it's A, because the comments are great, and B, because everyone posts existing articles that might be blocked on Reddit. So now OpenAI and Google have a way to get those articles now. So it's like, tell me more about the comments and how valuable they are.
Oh, they're extremely valuable. I'd say, in general, they are just user engagement data is and how people are reacting to various topics and things of that nature have an enormous amount of value. And we're not in the business of going out and selling this data to LLMs, right? I think that's, again,
but they're scraping it anyway, aren't they?
They are to a certain extent.
Okay.
Yeah, they are to a certain extent. But they're not. We don't. So with Reddit, they have a open API, Reddit, and they did for many, many years.
Yep.
So it's my understanding that functionally these LLMs were, until they did this deal, were basically had full access to the data fire hose. So they were training their LLMs long before they did any deal with Reddit, and then Reddit said, "Oh, we're going to shut this thing off, and now you have to, go through us in order to access it, right?" And we don't operate like that, right? We don't have an open API that anybody can access the fire hose of raw data. So in that way, yeah, you could scrape it contextually, but like you only get so much information off that.
And I would think in one day there's a marketplace that evolves where here's a post that the New York Times put out there, and here's all the comments, and the LLMs want it. They get an API access to the post and the comments, and it becomes way more valuable for the LLMs down the road.
Yeah, I've had a couple conversations with really large publishers about this over the last week. It's just getting their takes on it. And
well, this is the topic. This is the big topic now.
It's the big topic, right? So like, and I hadn't really considered this, but like this exchange, this theoretical exchange.
It's an AI content marketplace.
Right, exactly. That is one that a lot of them are kind of discussing and thinking about. Maybe a lot. I don't want to speak in hyperboles, but a handful of the most recent large publishers I've spoken with have thought about it this way. Nothing like that exists yet, right? That's very theoretical.
There's companies out there that are playing.
That are trying to do it, right? Yes. But yeah, I think everybody's just still trying to figure. It's an interesting kind of odd space. This like the LLM data marketplace. I guess there's going to be big questions around. All right, well, if you're any company, if you're a publisher or the like, okay, well, is it worth what I'm giving up to give these LLMs kind of access to all of my data? To train their models, or is it more valuable in the long run for me to, be the only one that has access to this data of mine?
Well, the other thing is if you try to block the LLMs at the CDN level, which you can, they still find ways to get around and get all your information.
Yeah. So like,
might not be 100% correct, but they will give you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, listen, I kind of see it as like across the internet, anywhere where information can be scraped by a LLM, it's just a game of whack-a-mole.
I know.
Right.
But you need some friction initially.
You do.
To build a marketplace.
You do. Now, I mean, if that is if the end is to create friction and the means to the end is to work and to kind of block access, that is definitely something that you can do, and I agree with that. I do think it's really it's going to be more of a legislation and regulatory question than anything else.
The talk is that just takes forever.
It takes forever, right? It takes forever. So we are like in our business, we're not as focused as much on creating friction with the LLMs. I think it's better to spend time and resources on places where you really feel like you can win and grow and scale.
Yeah.
And again, let's be honest, some of these companies have endless billions of dollars on their balance sheet and an enormous amount of power and influence, right? So like it's not only a technical challenge, right? It's a resource challenge.
David versus Goliath.
Yeah. In that way, I think it is. But I mean, again, I personally think that the idea of like the content and data exchange concept is like really, really interesting. I'm just watching closely to see who can kind of pull it off in a meaningful way and how the LLMs will engage with that.
I got two more questions as we wrap up. Number one is, at Teads, it was France, so it's U.S. and France back and forth. At OpenWeb, it's U.S. and Israel. What's it like having these multiple time zone businesses and running those whole operations?
Well, at Teads, it was 28 countries. I mean, it was like,
okay.
It wasn't. I mean, France is where engineering was, but I mean, you basically open up a map and see any major market outside of China.
Were you working 24/7 all the time?
Working a lot, but I mean, you get used to it. I did a lot of the like go to the UK and then go to LA. Go to the UK, go to LA, because we had our second largest market was the UK. But anyway, I think it's interesting. I like working across a lot of different markets and a lot of different cultures. I find that like really exciting, and it's something that I really enjoy. My wife is European, she's Finnish. And so I spend a lot of time in Europe just personally.
Because you're smart. It's nice going there. It's fun.
No, it's nice. It's nice. I
Just don't go in the summer. It's so crowded. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, in Finland, I would recommend you only go in the summer, if I'm honest.
Well,
Yeah,
there's no sun in the wintertime, right?
No, there's no sun in the wintertime. It's kind of cold. But in the summertime, it's spectacular.
Yeah.
It's really, what a wonderful place. Anyway, but I just like meeting different folks with different perspectives than I have. I find it to be really interesting.
And who are smarter than you.
And they're smarter than me, yeah.
Okay.
And my wife, she's squarely in that camp.
Oh, my wife's the same thing. She's much smarter than me.
Yeah. And so I really like the cultural aspect of the job too. And yeah, I mean, at OpenWeb, we're in San Diego, we're in Tel Aviv, we're in Ontario, we're in the UK, we're in France. So we have a lot of different cultures, and that's something I really do love. It's to me, it's nice too from a practical workday perspective, because I wake up really early, so it's like speaking with folks in the Middle East and then in Europe in the morning, and then can close out the day speaking with folks in California.
And you're used to that too.
I'm really used to that. Yeah, I'm really used to that.
Okay, last question, and it's going to be a great answer. Besides golf and your 3 kids, what are your other hobbies? You must have something interesting.
So from a hobbies perspective, I mean, I've been playing music since I was really little. So I love music. I
saw Trombone Shorty last night at Pier 17.
Oh, nice. That's great.
He does some circular thing where he can actually blow the horn for like 4 minutes.
It's a circular breathing technique.
Yes.
Yeah. It's wild. It's wild. You're breathing in through your nose, and then you're blowing out through your mouth with like reeded instruments or trumpets and trombones. So yeah, it's like pretty crazy stuff. So music's always been huge. Playing and listening. Travel, massive.
Okay.
I love traveling. Like absolutely love traveling. Like adore food, specifically like restaurants, like really love that. And I've gotten more into history recently too. Just like, you kind of realize, especially since the dawn of like social networks and things like that, everything is kind of like, I don't know, everybody's timeline has been like really shrunk in terms of like where they're thinking of like in the past and where they're thinking of in the future. It's kind of like now and feels like
I'm watching The Gilded Age now, which is just fun to watch.
It's super cool.
That history.
Yeah, and then I kind of woke up one day a few years ago and I was like, we're in this moment right now. Like historically, what other moments have been like this? And then you realize there's this really cool, human history, this like rich tapestry. It like it has incredible stories. There's drama, there's triumph.
Yeah.
I also find it really interesting to think about it from like a technology perspective.
Well, the AI boom we're seeing right now.
The AI boom, right? The AI boom we're seeing right now. And it's just interesting to think that like, 100 years ago, people would have thought you were nuts if you owned a car. Like that's crazy. The horse is never going away.
Yeah. Now the car is going to go away.
Yeah. So, but anyway, like to answer your question, history I've gotten into.
So my wife and I were talking to someone and they went to a music festival, I think this week, called Fuji Rock.
Okay.
In Japan. And like travel, music, like let's go.
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Producer Andrew, that was pretty freaking awesome. Jim, thank you so much. Great conversation. I love the back and forth with the questions. As always, let us know what you think. Drop us a line. Text me if you want to. I'll get back to everyone. Jim, thank you very much.
Thanks so much, G.